It's a widespread holiday favorite simply because we see something ourselves in Ralphie Parker. It's not by any means my favorite Christmas movie, but it is my favorite Christmas coming of age movie by a long shot. But let's talk about A Christmas Story. Welcome to my channel, KC, that's me, Carrie Tug, the Sledge Storyteller, here to talk about the wonderful world of storytelling, and here to bring out the best in our own storytelling, Christmas storytelling. And if we're talking about Christmas storytelling, why don't we talk about A Christmas Story? It's a beloved movie of 1983, and in a previous review I said I was 5 years late in coming to Elf. Well, in the case of A Christmas Story, I was 27 years late in coming. But here I am, we're going to talk about that now. All those years I was pretty aware of it, but never bothered paying enough attention to stop and watch it any times it came on TBS or TNT. So 12 years after that first viewing. Like Elf, I have to deal with cringe-inducing food moments like watching Randy doing a faceplant into his mashed potatoes and snarfing them up.
Just me.
Again, I totally believe that A Christmas Story has something that any adult can relate to and reflect upon as something they experienced as a kid. The author of the story it was based on, Gene Shepard, showed a remarkable sharp memory of his childhood and breathed so much life into his narration. I mean, I wish I could remember my childhood like that. But he's, he got a dream for every emotional outlet, and again, experiences that everyone could relate to. And who didn't think through the guilt trip we wanted to inflict on parents and teachers after they punished us heavily?
Yes, soap poisoning.
Dealing with our own Scott Farkus experiences.
Gonna cry now?
The worst part of dealing with Scott Farkus is dreading they're growing into a Biff Tannen in a couple more years. It was refreshing to see both of those guys get theirs. Then there's the big expectations of our favorite shows ultimately letting us down. But the movie's set in the 40s, maybe 1939. Beginning in this time, there were a lot of offers to kids, largely from radio and comics, with promises that were factually too good to be true. X-ray glasses, sea monkeys, hypnocoin. I don't recall any time in my childhood when an incentive from an ad campaign duped me like Ralphie's decoder did, but you get how easily it could happen back then. Given the loose regulation on advertising back then. Then getting to that point of no return with that triple dog dare. But the hindsight on that whole thing just after you go through something like that leads to the head scratching over why it would have been any worse if we just pulled back and took the ridicule even after a triple dog dare. Then I think most of us as a kid got so fixated on one toy that we were 100% sure was going to bring us never-ending happiness. So naturally it all depends on just how big your imagination was. Anyone who knew me growing up knows that for me it was
Voltron, Defender of the Universe.
But whether it was from the Sears Christmas catalog or scrolling through Amazon, dreaming was part of the fun. But creating nostalgic experiences is the easy part. Here, the filmmakers, they chose Ralphie's fixation on the official Red Ryder Carbine Action 200-shot range model air rifle. That took practice. In the family I grew up in, you knew that you had to wait until your 12th birthday for that rite of passage. Any earlier, and I know my parents would have said,
"No, shoot your eye out."
But besides just Ralphie, played wonderfully by Peter Billingsley, being such a kind of a kid that you can relate to because of your memories. He needed a good supporting cast. He got it in a cantankerous dad, a sweet, at times pious mother, an annoying and pouty younger brother, a bunch of friends, typical fun-loving and at times mischievous schoolboys, the stereotypical school bullies, and the strict teacher. All this adds to the slice of life approach that the movie effectively conveys. Then bring in the key events at home, at school, at downtown. We all grew up having those Santa experiences, and how often anybody ever encountered a Santa desperate to finish the lineup of kids and call it a night. Here, the comedy of the whole thing where Ralphie freezes when he has to tell him what he wants, and I guess it's partially out of fear of getting that same reaction, which ultimately he does.
You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
And author Gene Shepard, he made it widely known that that scene was based on an experience he had as a kid as he sat on Santa's lap and also froze up. Unclear if Santa was that mean to him, but Peter Billingsley and Santa made the whole thing work. So many other fun subplots, whatever degree of profanity you grew up with, it doesn't matter if you're repeating what you heard your parents said. And what happened to Schwartz as a result, you can call it karma for the triple dog dare on Flick and not confessing when she demanded that someone fess up. I myself wouldn't be caught dead putting a lady leg lamp on my living room window, even if it does face the backyard, my living room. But for several years I did get nostalgic seeing the guy sitting behind me at church for several years. He always wore a leg lamp tie during the Christmas season. But this movie overall has loads of Christmas, loads of childhood nostalgia, and loads of good comedy. But that's my take on A Christmas Story. Thank you for watching. Agree, disagree, something I left out? Please let me know in the comment section. If you like this video, please click like. If you like this channel, please click subscribe or follow me on Instagram. As always, the link to order Sledge number 1 and number 2 is in the description below. I promise adventure if you will just partake of these stories. Sledge number 3 is still underway, and I love what Tiago gives me, and I, as a collaborator, I felt very blessed to have been given him. But as always, let's try to find civility amid any hate, any political strife, any kind of strife. And during this Christmas season, let's amp up the kindness, let's amp up the generosity wherever we find opportunity to exercise it. Everyone be safe, and God bless.